Okay, picture something that you have poured yourself into. It could be a team, it could be a cause, it could be a product, it could be a big idea. You poured yourself into it and nobody engaged. You spoke in a group, in a room, and people started texting. They just went quiet. Nobody signed up. And the people that said that they would be there to support you didn't even show. And so you start asking yourself some questions, right? A question, this nagging one in particular, what's wrong with the idea and what's wrong with me? Here is what you need to know. It was never about the thing. I know this because I have spent the last 30 years in an industry, in a profession that proves this faster than anywhere else, and it's called direct selling. There's a nickname for it, all right, affectionately. It's called the revolving door model. My name is MB, and I am the engagement strategist. This channel is about one thing: why people show up for you and why they quietly leave. So the revolving door, over the last 30 years, I sat through hundreds of exit interviews with tens of thousands of independent sales representatives on calls, on Zooms, reviewing the data, listening for the real reason that people disconnected. And the same patterns, they show up year after year, regardless of the company, regardless of the product, regardless of the technology shortcomings. And the top contributors that loop over and over again, unmet expectations is like number one in this list. High rejection rates, the fear of losing all of my friends after you burn through your warm market, right? NFL, no friends left. There's what I always call the tourist effect, which was people coming in maybe because they just wanted their friend to stop bugging them, but they came in and they really had no skin in the game at all. And so they would be looking at it, then they would measure up their out-of-pocket costs and they would just fade away. But the biggest one, it really hasn't been something that was on that list. The really, really big one, shockingly, surprisingly, sadly, a personal sponsor, or the upline leader, a managing director who wasn't engaged. Products can underperform. Comp plans, they can change and they can cause broken trust. The technology can be super clunky, real problems, real challenges, but underneath was something else. Underneath was what I would call the identity dissonance. And what that really is when people don't feel like they belong, when people don't feel like they connect, and especially when the person who was there to support them, especially when the person who introduced them to the opportunity, to the tribe, becomes invisible. Goodbye. That's when they just go. And so there is one of those calls that I remember really, really clearly as I heard a rumor on the street that this person was leaving. I was super sad about it. So I reached out to her and I asked her, I said, okay, well, I'm really, really sad to see you go. Can you just tell me a little bit about why? I'd really like to know person to person why. And she had a product that worked. She had a team that was actually growing. And so it was an interesting answer that I was waiting for. And so she started talking about complexity, supply chain challenges, this and that, the website, all of these reasons. And I just sat there and I waited and I waited. And I asked her, I leaned and I said, okay, I appreciate that. I respect that. Why are you really leaving? And I waited. And she took a big breath at that time. It was a while ago. And she said, okay, well, I'm just really, really tired of being overlooked. Okay, so there it is. Bingo. There's the truth, the central truth of the disconnection. And it's not random. It's rarely about the company. I found through experience. It's rarely about the products. It is rarely about what they say out loud, even when the challenge is valid, even when it's real. People don't disconnect typically from a team, from a cause, from a church, from a job, because of the thing that they say out loud in polite company. They quietly quit because someone, somewhere underneath, they don't feel like they are a participant. They feel like they have become, or from the very beginning, are a spectator in that piece of their life. And as far as they can see, their presence doesn't make a difference. And so the gap between it, if you think about it, the gap between I'm here, the gap between I matter, it's a major gap. It's a major disconnect. And so engagement, when you think about it, is not a nice to have. I want to say that again. Engagement is not a nice to have. It is bolted onto your venture. It is the venture. Engagement itself is the venture. When you strip it out and look around, what's left? Take away engagement in a relationship. No words. How sad is that when a couple stops talking to each other? It's super, super sad. I've been married since my freshman year in college. And when people ask me how we are successful, I say communication and mutual respect. When there's no engagement, relationships fail. A belief without a practice. Think about it. Think about church life even, and how hypocrisy can absolutely splinter a congregation when people are not living beliefs. It results in hypocrisy, super offensive. A company with no soul, what's that result in? Attrition, a vision with no participants. Ultimately speaking, human potential becomes buried in a graveyard when there is no engagement. It's a very, very serious matter. And so when you think about all that that means, getting people to connect, to engage, to produce, here's the part that ultimately gets missed. It's not a business problem. It's not an organizational problem. It's a very human, very real problem. The Surgeon General, their office calls isolation a public health crisis. The longest running study in like adult life ever conducted. It keeps saying and finding year after year the same thing, that the strength of relationships, participation, engagement predicts our health. It predicts our happiness better than money, better than career success, even better than genetics. That's amazing. Disengagement doesn't just cost you your organization. It doesn't cost you your venture. It doesn't cost you just productivity. It costs human years, really. So what do we do about it? Stop asking how to get people engaged and to care about the thing that you're passionate about, whatever that may be. Instead, start asking how to make them feel like participants in something that actually matters, that you know in your heart actually matters. Lead with the cause, lead with the solution, and most importantly, lead with the human being. Not the pitch, not the whiffy, what's in it for you. Make the thing, the whatever, the ticket in, but make belonging the ultimate destination. Because when people feel seen and they feel heard and they feel valued and they feel connected, you don't have to worry about retaining them. You don't have to worry about win-back campaigns. They show up and they stay. This is the thesis of everything on the Meredith Burkich YouTube channel. Over the next many, many episodes, should you choose to engage, I'm going to walk you through a framework that I built from 30 years where engagement breaks and where engagement gets rebuilt. 10 specific pillars for success. And we'll take them one at a time so that they stick. But for today, I only have one ask. If you lead something, or if you love something and you want or need people to engage with you, please subscribe. Now, I wrote this whole viewpoint out and more in letter form. I'll link it below, and it's called the Engagement Letter, and it's where the deeper version of everything on this channel will live going forward. You can read it in 5 minutes. If it lands, thank you in advance for subscribing there in Substack. Because here's the one thing: when you win, I win. When I win, we win. When we win, everybody wins, and we need each other. That's not being sentimental, it's being real. I'm MB. Until next time, do everything with love, my friends.